Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna. We continue reading from Caitanya Caritamrita Adi Leela, chapter 8, text 34. Krishna Leela Bhagavate Kahe Vedavyas Caitanya Leela Ravyas Vrindavan Das. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. As Vyasadeva has compiled all the pastimes of Lord Krishna in Srimad Bhagavatam, Thakur Vrindavan Das has depicted the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. So Vyasadeva, he spoke the Srimad Bhagavatam, and Vrindavan Das Thakur, similarly, he has recorded the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. So Vrindavan Das Thakur is called the Vyasadeva of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. Vrindavan Das Kaila Caitanya Mangal Yanhara Shravane Nashe Sarva Amangala. Thakur Vrindavan Das has composed Sri Caitanya Mangal, hearing this book and highlights all misfortune, all the amangal, sarva amangal, nashe. How? By Shravane Caitanya Mangal. So all the inauspicious in our life can go away simply by hearing. Simply by hearing. You know, hearing is so easy. We don't have to do anything. We just sit and automatically the sound goes in our ears. Caitanya Nitaira Yate Janiya Mahima Yate Jani Krishna Bhakti Siddhante Rasima. By reading Sri Caitanya Mangal, one can understand all the glories and truths of Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda and come to the ultimate conclusion of devotional service to Lord Krishna. So what is the conclusion? Devotional service to Krishna. Bhakti. Prema Bhakti. So when we read Caitanya Mangal, we will be able to understand, devotional service is the eternal activity of the soul. Srimad Bhagavatam is the authoritative reference book from which to understand devotional service. But because it is very elaborate, few men can understand its purport. So what is Srimad Bhagavatam glorifying? Srimad Bhagavatam is full of glories of Krishna's devotees, Krishna himself, Krishna's incarnations, his expansions, and devotional service. This is all that what Bhagavatam is doing, speaking the glories of Krishna Katha. Srimad Bhagavatam is the original commentary on the Vedanta Sutra, which is called Nyaya Prashthan. So Vyasadeva, he categorized the Vedas. First, originally, there was only one Veda. But Vyasadeva knew that Kali Yuga is coming, our memories are short, we are not so intelligent. So he separated them into 4. And then yet he said, oh my God, this is still very vast. How many are going to be able to read it? So he wrote a Vedanta Sutra. He wrote the Vedas in concise form. In the sutras can be expanded. Then after doing that, he was still not happy. And he asked his spiritual master, Narad Muni, I've done so much service for humanity. I've recorded the Upanishads, the Puranas, I've, compiled the Vedas. I'm still not happy. What do? I don't know why. Narad Muni says, because you've not told people, okay, this is what you need to do. Engage in devotional service. Because you haven't told, that's the reason you're unhappy. So then Vyasadeva he wrote the Srimad Bhagavatam. He wrote Srimad Bhagavatam. This is his natural commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. Srimad Bhagavatam is called the cream of the essence of the Vedas. Why? Because the Vedanta Sutra is all the essence of the Vedas, and the cream of this essence is Srimad Bhagavatam. It was written to enable one to understand the absolute truth through infallible logic and argument. And therefore, its natural commentary, Srimad Bhagavatam, is extremely elaborate. Professional reciters have created the impression that Srimad Bhagavatam deals only with Krishna's Ras Leela, although Krishna's Ras Leela is described only in chapters 29 through 33 of the 10th canto. So we may think that Srimad Bhagavatam means Ras Leela. But no, Bhagavatam here, Srila Prabhupada is explaining to us, Ras Leela is just 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. Only 5 chapters of this entire 10th canto. There are 12 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam. And so how many chapters are there? In the 10th canto itself, there are more than 90 chapters. More than 90 chapters only in the 10th canto itself. And these are just 5 chapters. So we may think, oh, Srimad Bhagavatam means only Krishna's Ras Leela pastimes. No, that's not true. We have been reading Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, second canto, third canto, again repeatedly telling us about the creation, how the creation is happening, how Mahavishnu is creating all the universes, how Garbhodakshay Vishnu and Shirodakshay Vishnu. So the people who hold the Bhagavad Sapta, they don't touch on these topics. Whereas these are very important for us to understand because they lay the foundation for us to understand Krishna's position in truth. What is God's position? What's the position of this material world? And what is my position? So they have, in this way, presented Krishna to the Western world as a great woman hunter. And therefore, we sometimes have to deal with such misconceptions in preaching. This is a general misconception that most people have. Oh, Krishna, Ras Leela with the gopis. What about that he's creating this entire universe? Nobody speaks about that. Another difficulty in understanding Srimad Bhagavatam is that the professional reciters have introduced Bhagavad Sapta, or 7-day readings of the Bhagavatam. They want to finish Srimad Bhagavatam in a week, although it is so sublime that even one verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, if properly explained, cannot be completed in 3 months. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was invited to speak on the Bhagavatam. And people thought he's going to speak on the Ras Leela. He spoke on the first verse of the Bhagavatam, establishing the position of Lord Krishna. Establishing the position of Lord Krishna, that he's the absolute truth. From him, all the universes are coming. All the demigods are coming from him. He's the original speaker of the Vedas. The material energy is his energy. The living entities are his energy. And the spiritual world is his spiritual energy. So, and then if we want to understand entire Bhagavatam in 1 week, what kind of understanding will that be? Under these circumstances, it is a great aid for the common man to reach Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur's Chaitanya Bhagavat, for thus he can actually understand devotional service, Krishna, Lord Chaitanya, and Nityananda. So Lord Chaitanya's pastimes are full of devotional service because Lord Chaitanya has come. He's Krishna himself. He's come in the form of a devotee and he's showing us how to act. What do we have to do? Engage in hearing and chanting. Engage in the service of the devotees. Srila Rupa Goswami, who's one of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, he has said, Shruti Smriti Purana De Pancharatra Vidhim Vina Ekantiki Harer Bhaktir Utpatta Yeva Kalpate. Devotional service to the Lord that ignores the authorized Vedic literatures, the Upanishads, Puranas, Narad Pancharatra, etc., is simply an unnecessary disturbance in society. So, we may think, what a person may think he's engaging in devotional service. But devotional service means following all the scriptures, the Upanishads, the Puranas, the Narada Pancharatra. The rules and regulations are given. We don't have to manufacture anything. Krishna himself does not manufacture anything. When he spoke the Bhagavad Gita 5,000 years ago to Arjuna, he said, I'm simply repeating the same message which I had told to Vivaswan. That was some 120 million years ago. So he's saying the same thing. Why do we feel the need that we have to create something new? We don't need to. Everything is there in the scriptures. We simply have to follow. The reason we create something new is because we are not able to follow. And so we say, okay, I'm going to make something up new. And that creates an unnecessary disturbance in society. Due to misunderstanding Srimad Bhagavatam, people are misled regarding the science of Krishna. However, by reading Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur's book, one can very easily understand this science. So Srila Prabhupada is encouraging us. We want to hear about devotional service. We want to understand devotional service. We can read Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur's book, Caitanya Bhagavat, which was originally entitled Caitanya Mangal, but later it was renamed to Caitanya Bhagavat. Bhagavate Yata Bhakti Siddhante Rasar, Likhiya Chena Inha Jani Kariya Udhar. In Sri Caitanya Mangal, later known as Sri Caitanya Bhagavat, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has given the conclusion and essence of devotional service by quoting the authoritative statements of Srimad Bhagavatam. So Vrindavan Das Thakur is also not manufacturing something new. No, he's also quoting from Srimad Bhagavatam. Caitanya Mangala Shune Yadi Pasandi Yavana Seha Mahavaishnav Hayata Takshana. If even a great atheist hears Sri Caitanya Mangal, he immediately becomes a great devotee. This is the purity. Purity is the force, Srila Prabhupada would say. Manushya rachite nare aiche granta dhanya Vrindavan dasa mukhe vakta Sri Caitanya. The subject matter of this book is so sublime that it appears that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has personally spoken through the writings of Sri Vrindavan Das Thakur. So we can see here Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami. He's writing Caitanya Caritamrita. He's recording the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, which Vrindavan Das Thakur has not written. But he's glorifying Vrindavan Das Thakur, and he's glorifying Caitanya Bhagavat, and he's encouraging us all to read it. He's not saying, hey, you just read my book, Don't read Vrindavan Das Thakur's book. Don't read his book. You just read my book. We ordinary conditioned souls may do that. Or mostly we do that, not may. But here, this is a great Acharya. What is he saying? Yes, please read his book. You're going to understand devotional service better by reading his book. This is a Vaishnava. Srila Sanatana Goswami has written in his Hari Bhakti Vilas, a Vaishnava Mukho Girnam Putam Hari Katamritam Shravanam Neva Kartavyam Sarpo Chistam Yathapayaha. One should not hear anything about Krishna from a non-Vaishnava. Milk touched by the lips of a serpent has poisonous effects. Similarly, talks about Krishna given by a non-Vaishnava are also poisonous. So milk is very nourishing. Bhagavatam also says, Srila Prabhupada would also say that by drinking milk, our finer brain tissues we develop finer brain tissues by which we can understand spiritual knowledge. And so milk is a very important food for us, human beings. But what happens if this same milk, which is so nourishing to us, if it is touched by a snake, then it becomes poisonous. Then we should not drink that milk. Why? Because we are going to die. So Srimad Bhagavatam nourishes us. Krishna Katha nourishes us. But if we hear Krishna Katha from a non-devotee, someone who is just a professional reciter, he's not in the line of disciplic succession, then that Krishna Katha becomes like a poison. Why? Because the professional speaker does not know Krishna. So he's not going to be able to present Krishna to us. He's going to present Krishna in the form of some misconception or some misinterpretation. So it's not the real Krishna Katha that we are going to get from him. So we should stay away from professional reciters. Transcendent. Did anyone have any questions or comments till now what we've been reading?
So I just have one question regarding Vrindavan Das Thakur, but this we are reading in Caitanya Caritamrita, right?
That's right. Yes.
They are describing about Vrindavan Das Thakur and Caitanya Bhagavat within. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'll quickly try to finish this transcendental literature that strictly shows the Vedic principles and the conclusion of the Puranas and the Pancharatrika Vidhi can be written only by a pure devotee. It is not possible for a common man to write books on bhakti, for his writings will not be effective. This is what we don't understand. You know, we see now, everyone wants to speak on Bhagavatam, everyone wants to speak on Bhagavad Gita, but are they hearing from the right sources? Where are they speaking from? Who have they heard from? Have they heard from the pure devotees? If they've not heard from the pure devotees, then whatever we have heard is wrong. Because it is not possible for a common man to understand Krishna. Krishna says, Bhaktyamam abhijanati, I can be understood only by devotional service. I can be understood only by devotional service. Krishna says that in Bhagavad Gita. So only the devotee knows Krishna, the absolute truth. And it is to our benefit if we hear from the devotee so that we can actually approach the absolute truth, so that we can actually understand the absolute truth. So a person, he may be a very great scholar and may be expert in presenting literature in flowery language, but this is not at all helpful in understanding transcendental literature. So one may be like a great linguist, he may know how to appeal to the hearts of the people with sweet words, with sweet tone, but if he's not a devotee, he will not be able to present the scriptures to us as they are. Even if transcendental literature is written in faulty language, it is acceptable if it is written by a devotee. Whereas so-called transcendental literature written by a mundane scholar, even if it is a very highly polished literary presentation, cannot be accepted. So a pure devotee, if he does not have great writing skills, it's okay, because he can write, Krishna is God, God is Krishna. God is that supreme absolute truth. The supreme absolute truth is Krishna, and that's enough. That is transcendental literature. Why? Because he is speaking from authority. The authority comes from Krishna himself. Authority comes from God himself. He's not making up anything. He's not trying to speak sweet words, sweet languages, or, try to create some euphoria or something. No. So the secret in a devotee's writing is that when he writes about the pastimes of the Lord helps him. He does not write alone. This is the secret Srila Prabhupada is saying, that the Lord helps the devotee to write. He does not write alone. Baladev Vidyabhushan, he was asked to write the commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam. He was asked to write the commentary, and then he was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And he went to he was in Jaipur, and he went to Govindaji's temple. And he was telling Govindaji, I've been assigned the task to write this commentary, and I just have 3 days. How am I going to do it? Govindaji told him, don't worry. I will tell you what to write. You just simply write. And that's why his commentary is called Govinda Bhasya, because Govinda, he personally recited to him. Srila Prabhupada, he used to take great pleasure in reading his books. So his devotees would say, his disciples would say, Srila Prabhupada, you have written this book. How come you're reading it as if you have never read it before? Srila Prabhupada said, I don't write these books. Krishna writes. What Krishna tells me to write, that is what I write. So the transcendental literature, which the acharyas, the pure devotees coming in the disciplic succession, they write, they are transcendental, not mundane or material, not with someone's imagination. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, text 10, Dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayantite. Since a devotee writes in service to the Lord from within gives him so much intelligence that he sits down near the Lord and goes on writing books. The mood of the pure devotee is to serve Krishna, to please Krishna, to give Krishna consciousness to everyone. And that's the reason he's writing this literature. He's not writing it for his own personal name, fame, adoration, worship. He's not writing himself to show that he's God and that God does not exist. No. He's simply writing as a service to Krishna. So Krishna helps him. Krishna helps him to write. Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami confirms that what Vrindavan Das Thakur wrote was actually spoken by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he simply repeated it. The same holds true for Sri Caitanya Caritamrita. Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami wrote Sri Caitanya Caritamrita in his old age in an invalid condition, but it is such a sublime literature that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj used to say, the time will come when the people of the world will learn Bengali to read Sri Caitanya Caritamrita. So Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, the author of this book that we are reading, Sri Caitanya Caritamrita, he was 90 years old when he started writing. And he was not in good health. He was in a poor health. He was an invalid, 90-year-old, and he's written this great literature, Caitanya Caritamrita, giving us the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. And here, as Prabhupada is saying, is Lord Chaitanya who spoke it, and Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami simply recorded it. We are trying to present Sri Caitanya Caritamrita in English and do not know how successful it will be. But if one reads the original Caitanya Caritamrita in Bengali, he will relish increasing ecstasy in devotional service. So Srila Prabhupada, out of his kindness, he has translated Caitanya Caritamrita for us in a language that we can understand this great literature. And if anyone is inclined to learn Bengali, to read the original Caitanya Caritamrita, Prabhupada is saying he will relish increasing ecstasy in devotional service. So, and the same is true for the English translation too. But if someone who's like really a linguist, they may try to do that. So we'll stop here. Did anyone want to add anything or comment? Anything?
No.
Thank you so much for listening and joining in. Caitanya Caritamrita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare